Did you bring water in here?
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Okay. Fuck, I'm the one that does the intros. Hey guys. Welcome to the Red Rum and Red Wine Podcast. Sorry. The podcast where we talk about murder mystery mishaps. And yeah, my name is Kristen. What's up?
Hey guys, it's Sara, and my cheeks hurt from smiling and laughing, honestly. Right
Yeah,
now,
it's so funny because I was gonna text Sara today, and I was gonna tell her like, oh, I think today is like one of my manic days. Like my ADHD is like, it's raging. Like I felt the words spewing out of my mouth.
Well, she did text me and tell me that, except it wasn't verbatim. She sent me a picture of her with foil on her head saying, don't forget your foil hats or whatever. And so I was like, okay, she's dyeing her hair again. It's one of those days.
Yeah, mental illness and depression equal hair changing of colors every month or so. And now it is only able to be recorded on video for the audience to see. Did that make sense? Hi, yeah. Did we say names already? I'm Kristen.
And I'm Sara. Yes, we did.
Fuck. Okay.
Yay, today's gonna be great.
Yeah, no.
Kristen's on one, and my story's super fucked up. But first, let's talk about what we're drinking.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we don't have any other business to talk about, right?
No.
Yeah. So, Kristen, you always go first. Simba's over here, so I don't know what that was.
No, that was me.
That was gravity. Okay.
I'm trying to. I hurt my mouth. Sorry. Okay. So, it's from the Good and Faithful Fat Ass. It's a nice little Pinot Noir moment. Not gonna lie though, it is like strange to the lips. It's a strange little taste at the beginning, but then it tastes like nothing. So
yeah, I don't like it.
It's not for everyone. We don't recommend.
I do normally like Pinots, depending, but it's just a little sweet.
When my mom told me the price of it, I'm sorry. I have drank a lot of good wines from this winery. Not this one though. This one was not my favorite. $30? Hell no.
Well, on the latter, my $3 wine.
Yeah, if you need a dupe that actually is palatable.
Cul-de-sac from HEB, Cabernet. Classic, can never go wrong. $3 and some change bottle of happiness. Well, I know maybe we've had the giggles during our intro today, but our story is nothing but funny. Like, hands down.
I gotta... She said literally. I like the amount of... Sometimes I think you're more dad than human. Oh my God.
That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever told me.
I literally, like, at first I thought there was a fucking earthquake, and no, it's just Sara being a fucking dork. I appreciate it though. It makes me laugh, you know.
What else?
You had to be here to understand it.
Yeah, you really had to be here. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, like I said, Nothing but funny. Let's get into it. Serious face on, because today I will be talking to you about I don't even know what to call it, the murder, mutilation, dismemberment, absolute chaos committed against Renée Hartevelt.
Mm-hmm.
On the night of June 11th, 1981, Renée Hartevelt went to her classmate's apartment for some dinner. Renée was a 25-year-old and was born in the Netherlands. She was Dutch, but she was living in Paris at the time, where she was attending Sorbonne, Paris, which was kind of a prestige college. Pretty sure it's prestige. It was at least a really well-known, or still is a really well-known college. And she was studying French literature.
Ooh.
If not other things, but at least that. So Renée was not only intelligent, but also attractive. So it's easy to say she was probably, used to having admirers and, that kind of thing. So her classmate, Issei Sagawa, I'm going to call him Sagawa. So
Got it.
He was also studying literature at Sorbonne. He was considered more of an acquaintance to Renée, and so they weren't like super close or anything. Renée was going over to his apartment that night with the impression that not only were they going to have dinner, but also complete a poetry assignment. Sagawa, on the other hand, was infatuated and fixated on the thought of having a beautiful and intelligent friend such as Renée. So Renée arrives at Sagawa's apartment, which was 16E 10 Rue Erlanger in Paris, France. So little did Renée know, Sagawa had been dreaming of this night for about 32 years.
Yeah.
Which was his age.
Okay,
so.
For those that don't know, yes, I do know exactly what case Sara is talking about.
Yeah, I meant to mention it at the beginning, but Kristen had mentioned this case in one of our earlier episodes, and so we're doing it now. Hello. Shortly after arriving to Sagawa's, Renée was seated at his desk reading a poem out loud. And it's unclear, if it
was something that she it was intended to see, it was something that she was used to, I guess I should say.
Yeah, because I'll say later on that it seems like they have hung out for academic purposes like this before. Apparently she was kind of teaching him German, and so it didn't. So I mentioned him being an acquaintance, but it seems like they could have been a little more friendly or close than an acquaintance.
Yeah.
Even though they maybe weren't actual friends, they didn't hang out outside of their study sessions.
At the same time, if I were to walk in and you were to be screaming poetry, I would slowly walk out.
Depends what poetry.
I guess. Do we know?
Well, it was for their poetry assignment, I assume.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, that makes, sorry, that makes total sense. Sorry, I completely forgot about that. That's me being really fucking judgmental. That actually makes a lot of sense as to why he's, okay.
Yeah, when you're screaming poetry, I was like, well, it was
I'm just ready to fucking call him guilty, okay? Color him guilty.
As Renée was sitting at Sagawa's desk reading this poem, Sagawa armed himself with a rifle and shot Renée in the back of the neck, just point blank.
Shit.
Shocked at the fatal consequences of his actions,
Sagawa
fainted. He was like, oops, I killed someone. When he came to, he decided that being a murderer just wasn't enough. He proceeded to commit necrophilia on Renée's corpse. I maybe should have given a trigger warning.
Yeah, at the beginning of this case.
And if this wasn't enough, maybe he was just like hungry. I don't know. He had some force that led him to attempt to take a couple of bites out of Renée.
Mm.
He realized his teeth weren't sharp enough to penetrate Renée's skin. So he went and got a butcher's knife and dismembered her body to eat and store and, to later consume. I did read somewhere that he literally left his apartment to go buy a butcher's knife and come back. Mm-hmm. But it didn't say that in other articles, so
I think there were some where they like had photos or CCTV whatever footage of him like leaving and coming back from the apartment. Yeah, it wouldn't
surprise me.
But I've definitely seen, if you want to, there are definitely photos of the inside of his apartment, like the cookware and everything that he's used for that.
Oh yeah.
Very like, be warned though, it's disturbing.
Right.
Yeah.
As you can imagine. So he ate some of Renée raw, and then he also ate some of her cooked.
Ugh.
Sagawa saw Renée as smart and beautiful, which were characteristics that he kind of felt he lacked personally. And so apparently he wanted to absorb that energy from her.
That's
through
like
eating her.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I know that I know this case, but just like I don't know, it just seems like a very, when you have people that are not logical or not with high IQs, I guess I should say, they have this real irrational thought of like, it's like that thing of like, oh, if I get LeBron James's sweat on me, I'll be just as good as him. It's like that kind of notion. It's that to the extreme.
So what we didn't really know about Sagawa at this time, or what others didn't know, was that he was obsessed with cannibalism from a pretty young age. Sagawa was born prematurely on April 26th, 1949, to a successful and wealthy family. Being premature, he was frail and tiny, and he even almost died before ever being born. After being born, he suffered from various health problems, including enteritis, which is a disease that affects the intestines. So I'm sure that sucked, but I don't know too much on it.
But how weird for a cannibal to have like that kind of history. Right? Is that just me?
No, I mean, it is kind of weird, and I didn't even think about that. I didn't connect those dots.
It's
a good thought, though.
But I'm like, yeah, like, why the set? I don't know. Yeah. It has to be like I want to be like you normal folks, so I'm going to eat you so I can be you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's mental illness for sure, but some logic mental illness.
Sagawa eventually had a little brother that he ended up being pretty close to. Mm-hmm. As a kid, them two, he and his brother, would play this game where their father and their uncle would pretend they were giants and chase them around wanting to eat them. So we could say this is where Sagawa's interest in cannibalism maybe stemmed from.
Yeah.
It could be safe to say,
it piqued his interest, wondering like, what does that mean?
Like, eating people.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay. But as Sagawa grew, he transformed from a frail little boy into a healthy young man, although he was only about 5 foot tall, and not even, he was barely under, I think.
Aww.
His interest in cannibalism stemmed from this game, possibly, and it transformed into a thought from a game into a more dark and serious obsession. Mm-hmm. His infatuation with cannibalism eventually developed into adding a sexual component where he would fantasize about not only eating flesh, but that of women who he was attracted to.
Okay, yeah, no, that's where, so did his parents know about this? Does it say?
I didn't read anything about
Okay,
that,
but
if
honestly,
you know,
let's be honest. If they did know about it, they wouldn't put him in therapy for it. They would just shame the fuck out of him for it. So
well, and I do go into, like, minor spoiler alert, he does get into some trouble later, but he gets out of it because his family is wealthy and successful. Sagawa would fantasize about eating the flesh of celebrities, such as Grace Kelly.
Ooh.
In 1972, he would break into the Tokyo apartment of a young German woman with the intention of eating her. So this is when his fantasies turn into actual
crimes
and actions, him acting out his fantasies rather than just fantasizing about it.
Mm-mm.
And I don't get the name of this German girl, just because you'll see. So luckily the woman awoke before Sagawa could, get to her, get a bite out of her, whatever. She was able to overpower him. Like I said, he was only about 5 feet tall.
He's fucking tiny. I would fucking kick the shit out of him. What the fuck are you doing?
5'8" bitch, try me.
I'll sit on you.
He was arrested for this incident, but on charges of attempted rape because no one knew he was trying to eat her. As I mentioned, he came from a wealthy and successful family, so Sagawa's father actually offered to pay the woman money to drop the charges, and which she accepted, so he was never prosecuted or taken to court. Mm-hmm. 5 years after this incident was when 28-year-old Sagawa moved to Paris, France, to study languages and literature at Sorbonne University. He apparently would hire sex workers and bring them to his home with the intention of fulfilling his nasty desires, but I guess he never really went through with it, unless we don't know about it.
Yeah.
He would spend 3 to 4 years studying and working as a writer in France before he met Renée Hartevelt in 1981. He quickly became obsessed and infatuated with his desires amongst Renée. As I mentioned at the beginning of the story, Sagawa was considered more of an acquaintance to Renée, but along with just going over to his house to do a poetry assignment, it seemed as if that she was also giving him German lessons. So it's unclear as to what extent, they hung out, or when we say hang out, it's like study.
Yeah.
Date, although it's not a date, whatever.
It's not like
hanging out.
It's not like hanging out. It's just
right,
like you're literally chilling as pals.
But you're hanging out to do homework. It's not like a date. So it's unclear as the extent of that, but I guess I should include, because I wasn't sure, being from the Netherlands and being Dutch, I was like, oh, so she knew German, but it's very common for a Dutch person or someone from the Netherlands to not only understand Dutch or German, but speak it as well. So I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. We know what happened next after Renée arrived to Sagawa's apartment as she was reading that poem. So after that, happened, the next 3 gruesome things, Sagawa called a taxi cab. The cab driver helped him load the 2 suitcases he had into the trunk. The cab driver apparently made a joke about referring to the weight of the suitcases. Apparently he was like, oh, these are heavy, there must be a dead body in here. Little did he know, and spoiler alert, remains of Renée Hartevelt's body were in the suitcases.
I just can't imagine after the facts of these cases, or the facts of this case comes out, the cab driver reading the newspaper that day.
Luckily, he did maybe redeem himself. And I'll say that in just a few bullet points, but the cab driver would drop Sagawa and his suitcases off at Bois de Boulogne. which is a public park that has a lake and stuff. You know, it's like a trail. People jog around it. And it's unclear where Sagawa dumped the suitcases, if it was somewhere random in the park or if it was in the lake and they kind of washed up. Wherever he dumped them, 2 joggers quickly discovered them and called the police immediately.
Mm-hmm.
With the help of the taxicab driver, the police were able to connect the suitcases to Sagawa. And so they searched his apartment immediately and found a photo ID card that belonged to Renée Hartevelt, as well as the remnants of a meal that had been cooked that included human flesh. Cooked human flesh. Sagawa was arrested for murdering Renée, but he was never tried for killing her. Instead, he was held in France for about 2 years while he was examined by psychologists. With the help of a prominent lawyer secured by his rich father, it was determined by the French courts that Sagawa was legally insane and unable to stand trial. In total, Sagawa would spend about 4 years in maximum security psychiatric unit there in France. But it doesn't end here. Because it literally is just ridiculous. While he was in the French mental institution for the killing and cannibalizing of Renée Hartevelt, he decided to write a novel. The book is titled In the Fog. It was a quote-unquote fictional story on how a man murdered a woman, raped her corpse, and then ate her. He made it seem fictional, but it was basically an autobiography, okay? So,
did he happen to make money off of that book? I always forget.
Well, Sagawa's family, as well, obviously, as Renée's family, were highly opposed to this novel ever getting published.
I'm really glad that his family is on top of that as well. Yeah. They're like, we agree he's equally fucked up. Right. I know other families that wouldn't have done that, so.
But the public was, like, down for this sort of gruesome
What the fuck? Public! Okay, that's not cool. That's actually pretty So what? They just went against both families?
In the Fog became a bestseller, making Sagawa a super controversial figure in both France and Japan.
I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
Another controversial thing about this case was that in 1985, the crime happened in 1981. Crime scene photos from Renée's murder and dismemberment were leaked to the press. This resulted in a popular French magazine publishing the photos. These photos show Renée's nude body, which had obviously been mutilated and dismembered, and this disturbed anyone and everyone who looked at them. And it was obviously a major hit to Renée's family.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. The outrage from these photos being published actually caused a reporter to be arrested.
Good.
They were the one who basically published them.
Good.
And more than 200,000 copies of the French magazine that they were published in were seized by the law enforcement. Sagawa ended up being deported back to Japan after spending the 4 years in the mental institution that I mentioned earlier. He spent a total of 4 years, so he gets deported back to...
Simba! Sorry. Cat is not playing around.
He gets deported back to Japan because his lawyer that his family hired for him,
of course,
convinces French authorities that it would be better for him to receive treatment in Japanese facility. So he was deported in 1984 and was sent to Matsuzawa Hospital in Tokyo for evaluation and treatment. Psychiatrists at this facility determined that Sagawa, probably definitely had a personality disorder, but was not legally insane.
Okay, so we're gonna try him for fucking murder then.
Yeah, because this means he could have withstood trial. He can be accountable for what he did to Renée.
Fucking obviously.
But
oh,
if you're not angry now.
Oh, but not obviously? Huh?
Apparently French authorities didn't. Okay, so this is a gray area. We don't know what really happened between, things can get messy when it's cross country.
Either way, if it's messy, like, unacceptable. Unacceptable. What?
Apparently,
okay, just
what
say
I read is that French authorities didn't want to help Japanese authorities prosecute Sagawa. Because I think in order for the Japanese to do it, they needed certain things from the French because that's where the crime was happened. That's where he was arrested. And they couldn't do it without the French, but apparently the French wouldn't cooperate.
But it's like...
But we don't know what really happened. I don't know.
Well, I totally believe it because it's like the fucking one case where the detective came in and he's like, when we solve it, we'll call y'all. Yeah. So it's just like, everyone's a fucking dick, but it's just like, it's hard for me to understand that at the end of the day, like, people have died. These are victims, families that need closure. How are you putting your pride in front of this? This has nothing to fucking do with you. Suck it the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Suck your big little fat gut up and shove it aside. This is not your place to shine. Like, wait until you're dead. And then your family will let you shine. Like, ew.
Unfortunately, a lot of attention had been brought to Sagawa because of his crimes, and especially because of the release of his novel. So after being released into the care of his parents, Sagawa basically capitalized off of himself and notoriety, because like I said, the reason why his book got published is because the public was interested in it. So like the sick fucks we are interested in this kind of macabre, Macabre?
Yeah, no help there. I can't pronounce them. I just know them.
In 1992, Sagawa appeared in a low-budget porno. It's called Unfaithful Wife, Shameful Torture.
Ew.
It's about an underground club in Tokyo where the women willingly get drugged and are subjected to fetish sex acts. In the film, someone starts to dismember the females in the club, which results in a mixture of violence and sex. Sagawa's role in the film is just a straight-up exploitation of his past crimes against Renée. In the film, he's shown eating a woman's buttocks.
Ew.
So in addition to his novel In the Fog, he wrote and published several more books. I don't know the names or what they're about because I didn't care. He illustrated manga, and even edited an anthology about cannibalism fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
He appeared as a lecturer at a university. It's unclear exactly what the lecture was about. Assuming it was about his necrophilia and cannibalism, though, this shows how even the academic world was interested or cared about what he did in his story, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is sick. I don't know. He's, guilty of murder, so. He has written reviews for Japanese restaurants, in Japanese magazines. He's also appeared on cooking shows where he's eaten raw meat. He's also appeared on several talk shows. He has even sold paintings that he has done that featured nude women.
Alrighty.
the fame and interest in him has pretty much run its course. I guess unless you hear our story and interest in him blows up, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
not
shame.
Because he's interesting.
Shame him.
His popularity has declined over the recent years, and his crimes and actions, have not only affected Renée's family since the moment it happened, but also his family. His brother that he was super close with as a child developed asthma because of the stress.
Oh, I didn't know you could develop that from stress.
I was like, is that why you can't breathe?
Damn.
His father had to resign from his job, whatever that was. And his mother tried to commit suicide. Definitely not saying that their struggles are as bad or worse than the Hartevelt family. Because I agree with anyone else, they had it way worse.
Yeah.
They have it way worse still. Apparently nowadays is free living on the outskirts of Tokyo in an apartment with a new name provided by the Japanese government. And guess what? He still has a strong desire to eat human flesh.
Yep.
And as we can guess, not only human flesh, but attractive female human flesh. Although he claims he would never act upon his urges, he still can't help but wonder when he sees a beautiful woman how they taste.
Oh, I've heard that he says that he's going to act at least once more upon it.
Maybe.
It's just like, if you're going to say that he's not mentally insane, okay, then throw him in regular Japanese jail.
Yeah.
He, like, you're so much... The culture behind throwing them in jail is so behind, like, okay, confess. He confessed, so throw him in jail. Why is it this one guy that confessed and you're letting him run around and, like, be on TV shows? It makes no sense.
He also apparently admitted that his desire to eat Renée Hartevelt would have been satisfied if she would have just let him drink her urine or eat her pubic hair.
Ew.
And I'm like, so if she let you do that, you wouldn't have killed her to eat her? Did you ask her if she would do that?
I don't know how to feel.
You?
I mean, like, would you even say yes if a guy asked you that?
If I was good, I mean,
he wouldn't give you the option.
Okay,
if you say no, I'm gonna kill you.
And or if my husband was like, sure, if you pee in a cup and this guy's gonna drink it and he's gonna pay you like $10,000, hell yeah.
No,
I would not do that shit for free, and I wouldn't let him see me pee.
But it's not like he's gonna give you the option. Oh, so either you pee in this cup and I eat your pubic hairs, or I'm going to kill you.
And as you said, with maybe it being this case about him trying the murder before, I did read somewhere where he also specifically went and bought the rifle to premeditate this murder against Renée.
Yeah.
So he could have used it maybe once before and it didn't work and maybe she didn't notice. But
there's a difference, I feel, between mentally ill people and just people that are fucking sick. So I don't know, like, I'm still trying to differentiate between that, maybe, but it is
what are those diagrams with the circles?
The Venn diagrams.
You can do one of those and see where it plays out.
It's just
there are
like
similarities and differences.
Because it's hard to say, like, at what point do you call what he says crazy? Like, is he crazy or is he just I would hate to call him, like, it's not like a normal person, but is he just like some, I guess, non-crazy person with some fucking crazy thoughts? Yeah. It's like, well, I don't even know what the fuck you call it, because that's fucking crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts.
I know, and I do want to end a little bit on, about Renée, the victim here. Unfortunately, with this case, there is more information about the perpetrator, about sick-ass Sagawa. Mm-hmm. But I will end with what little I have about Renée Hartevelt. She was good-looking. That is always, like, the number one thing. Anyways, besides her good looks, she was impressively intelligent, creative, and independent. She spoke several languages, which is also known as a polyglot, which I
No.
learned. So she was a polyglot. She was born in, I read either 1955 or 1956, and was from the Netherlands. As I also mentioned, she attended Sorbonne, Paris, where she studied French literature. Rest in peace, Renée.
Rest in peace, Renée. Yeah, it's definitely, it was one of the rougher cases when I first heard it, especially when you hear that this guy, when you hear that this guy got off pretty much scot-free. He spent a few years in an insane asylum, and then is now walking around the streets and can be someone that you bump into the next time you are in Japan, or if you're in Japan right now. May not even know it. Watch out for them really short dudes.
For the longest time was like on talk shows. I like eating people. Like, it's not okay. I don't care.
No. Well, cheers to not having cannibals on your talk shows.
Cheers to that. Cheers to not being a cannibal.
That also, yes, that's a good cheers. Yes, cheers. So until next time, guys, hopefully we get the next episode out by Tuesday. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Like after this one.
Yeah.
Oh, duh. 'Cause
So hopefully the next episode that y'all guys listen to comes out sometime around Tuesday, and we'll see about the rest. So follow us on all the latest and greatest to catch up on all the photos that we may or may not have posted on this YouTube episode.
At RARW podcast.
And always send us an email. Feel free.
Anything.
If you're feeling lonely.
Just say hi.
Yeah.
Red Rum and Red Wine Podcast at gmail.com.
And
bye.
Bye. I deserve a pay cut.